Now we have power, unlike any that we have ever seen.
Now it is time to take over the world.
Now is time to. That's actually an excellent time to take over the world. So,
Are you thinking what I am doing?
no, it'd be infinitesimally difficult. Snarf.
The pinky.
The pinky in the brain. Hi, Al Jelly. So there's there's nobody watching the podcast on Twitch right now. I can say whatever I want. So I've got the headphones on. Those of you that are on TikTok, I have the headphones on because we have a podcast we're doing right here at the same time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So the topic this week is, which was decided by our Parliament members, is DMing. Basically how to start and go and to continue. So, both of y'all run games on here. So how do you plan out,
Yep.
how would you plan out, how do you start? How do you start planning on your game?
Normally, or the 5-minute rush?
Let's try to teach proper techniques. And then that way, if anybody asks them any questions, they know how it should be done. And then we teach them the shortcuts.
First, you have to look at your group. You gotta get to know your group. You come up with a story, and then you start filling that in. Sometimes you can look at a creature and be like, I'm going to build a story around that. It just depends on how you want to do it. I like to make the story and then fill it in, but don't get me wrong, there have been a few times I've seen a creature that I really want to use, so I build a story around that for a one-shot.
And see, that's I kind of do that too for the one shots. I'm like, okay, for on here on our with our Order of the Scale, it's massively one shots with overarching storylines. So I know what the BBEG is for the storyline. So I've been trying to make every one of my games tie in with that main arc, but with sometimes it's just monsters. The whole ghost ship mimic thing, I don't know what possessed me. I was reading something and somebody had mentioned like a ghost pirate ship for Spelljammer and it being a mimic. So I was like, let's do a mimic ship. And that's how I decided for that game. Because it was just something that I'd seen a monster and I said, okay, that would be fun. I want to play that at some point. Oh, thank you for the hearts. Thank you. I'm having some issues here. Okay. So how would you start? Okay, one shots, it's either monsters or looking at your party. What about how you go about starting a new campaign?
Well, there's a couple different ways for that. They have, so many pre-made campaigns that, are built, and most of them are built really well. There are a few of them that are iffy. But a lot of people have this misconception that you got to read the book, all at once, or, from cover to cover. And that really isn't the case. You can, overview the chapter, look at the characters that are in the chapter and what needs to be done in there, and just like do a little bit of that. And I know we all know that just because it's in there and they're supposed to do this doesn't mean the players do it anyway.
That's true.
No, yeah, I just recommend people, if they want to DM, to at least know the basic rules, the basic ways that things work. But that's the fun part of D&D is you don't need to follow those.
Yeah, that actually is stated in the Dungeons Master's Guide.
It is
These are just
stated right there in the
guidelines.
front. Yep. These are guidelines. This is just a way for people to have something so they don't have to make up everything. There's a system for us to use. And you can change, you can add what you need to, but you don't want to make it so restrictive that your players can't do anything. Also don't want to make it restrictive to where you don't have fun either. Because that's the most important part of being a DM. You also have to have fun.
Oh, definitely. And for those of y'all that are logging on to TikTok, I'm in a podcast right now. We have a Psuedopod-Cast that we stream up on Twitch on Monday nights. And tonight we're talking about dungeon mastering. So my point on, so what about you, Grave, for coming up with a campaign or DMing?
Well, the first, if I was going to come up with a new campaign, especially if I was a new player, a new DM, this is what I would do. I would say to my players, give me your characters, give me some backstory. And then I would take their backstories, and that's what I would formulate the campaign around. Unless you already have an idea, or take a movie or a favorite book and adapt it to what you want to do. Because the best thing about D&D is you can adapt anything you want to it. You could take the basic storyline of, say, this is the campaign. Typical campaign is save the princess, save the world, or find the big bad magic item. Those are your three main concepts. And how you mix them together makes it a fun campaign. But if you're having issues, talk to your players. Say, hey, guys, what kind of campaign would you like? Do you want an epic, fantasy, high-level fantasy where there's lots of magic items and grandiose spells and wizards and da-da-da-da, and you're the heroes and the king has sent you out, like classic anime where you've been brought to another world, which is another good trope, and you're now supposed to be the heroes, you're supposed to save the realm? Or you'd be like, do you want a nitty-gritty one where there's no magic, not a lot of magic items, where, you're scraping by and it's nasty? To me, that's where I think you get a lot of inspiration from, is look at your books, look at your movies, and talk to your players.
Yeah, that's, so, that's where the starting point comes in. Know your rules, and whenever you have a group of players, sit down for a session 0.
Yeah.
Talk about what you want at your table, what you do not want at your table. Make sure what people are comfortable with. And that's where you also should discuss any house rules. These session zeros are a lot more important than people realize.
Yeah.
I've been to a few games that did not have them, and the game ended up in chaos.
We've had those issues. A lot of, for some of us older GMs who didn't always have session zeros for campaigns, but we did in a way. It was basically when we all sat down together and started making our characters. That was in effect our session 0, because we were talking about what kind of characters we're making and what kind of, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. Well, as the DM sitting in those, making the characters with them, you start picking up what kind of those stories the players want to experience.
Yep.
And also, too,
because that's what I've done too, but I find people, they seem to enjoy this session 0 more, just because they can openly talk about everything that they want and don't want.
Yeah.
And we can set up everything for them.
Also, Lee, too, you point out the older Dungeon Masters, a lot of times we had modules. So we knew what the adventure was going to be. We just helped guide the players with making their character. I'm going, you might want a cleric in here. You could probably use a rogue, maybe. Because, I mean, back in the day, there were certain characters. You didn't have the freedom of making whatever you wanted. Because back in the day, there was certain classes you had to have in a party or you were going to die. And there was, I don't care how much you wanted to DM it out, unless you added NPCs. Unless you added NPCs to literally go with them, like, no one wants to play a cleric? Okay, so here's Bob the cleric. He's going to be going, why do we need him? Because there's no other way for you to heal. You'd be getting in a fight and then spending
Uh,
8 hours resting up. 3 days later, you'd be healed up and going back.
Now,
You know what I mean? It would take forever.
when I played, there were 5 of us, so that only left out like 2 characters in first edition. So somebody was always going to be that. Now you said modules. I didn't have modules. I didn't get modules until many years later, and I started collecting them for D&D games because of the maps and the artwork.
Really?
Yep.
I must have
I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't run off modules really until I started doing the Rise of TMS.
My first 5 characters and the first 5 characters of my friends was the same character that I played in the first game that we just copied out. And remembering what I remembered from the first game, the graph paper for the map. So we just started drawing maps on graph paper, and we didn't have the other stuff. We're like, okay, I'm gonna buy this, and that's how much gold I'm spending. We didn't RP go into the shops. We just, in between dungeons, it was, for us, there wasn't a story. It was like, all right, you're going down this dungeon, there's kobolds over here, there's goblins over there, there's a bugbear in the back, and there's 4 dragons in this room. You know, that's what we did to start with. I didn't know stories until 2nd edition. And I was like, what?
And the monsters never made sense. Like you'd open a door that's been open for ages, and somehow a monster was in that room alive. How did you eat? Why didn't you eat the monster next to you, which would be your natural enemy, but yet you're into this door? What the hell? You never asked those questions when you were that age because you're like,
we didn't.
This is just cool. Let's go kill monsters.
That's all we did.
Yep.
But this and gain loot. It was like just we were all trying to get the Vorpal sword, you know.
Oh yes. Or the Holy Avenger for the power.
And you're like, you're a wizard. You don't need the sword. I'm like, yes, I do. I want to stab things. Gandalf had a sword. I should have a sword.
I want my negative 10 armor class. Damn it! I better get it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But anyway. So when you're starting out D&D and you're looking for inspiration, if you don't get a module, and look for just stories, plagiarize everything out there. My players will not. I watch a lot of old, like public domain now movies, like the old serials and stuff. So I mean, I've watched The Shadow Knows. I've watched all of the old Batman where it was the Bat. All Superman, all of those, all the old serials. You would be surprised at how many times I've just taken, all right, I remember that villain and that concept. It's now over here as this. I've done it to everybody on this server. I've pulled stories from very old sci-fi and fantasy movies, television shows. I think once I pulled something from Companion with the friends that come down. So steal blatantly. The greatest artist in the world also stole. So
Well, I did a one shot.
kill everybody.
Basically, I did a one shot that was a riff off of Cops.
I loved it.
It's a simple concept. Okay, there's a domestic disturbance. Go handle it. Well, this is like 4 days old. Well, we're a little overwhelmed right now. We're kind of busy, and a bunch of stuff's going on. And you know this city. Just go handle it. You're the low man on the totem pole. You're like the beat cop. All right, domestic disturbance, no big deal. Wife and whatever, they're having a dispute. The typical thing. And the thing is, you don't have to go into super detail about what's going on. You know what's going on.
Yeah, it's a super simple.
Yeah. It's a super simple. You go there, and you're like knocking on the door, like, hey, what's going on? You're like, something doesn't feel right. Something's starting to smell. There's something's going on here because you have to make perception checks, and everybody rolled super high. So I'm giving them all these little hints that this isn't quite what you're looking. This is not a typical domestic disturbance issue, and it turned into a nice little. Oh my God, they're werewolves and they're fighting for their lives, and it worked out really well. And that is the key right there. And I want to point this out, Lee and everybody else might have said before. It does not have to be a grandiose scheme or setting or idea. Little bitty stories can be strung together to lead to something great. When that idea comes and it's like your overall epic, like this is where I wanted to get to it, don't worry about getting there. Just come up a little thing here and there because your players are going to give you the stuff
So
you're gonna
much
need to
stuff.
get there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I set up a little bounty here, and it turned into, a little one-shot, and somebody had lost their kitten. A little kid lost their kitten. They put up a little sign that, hey, I need help finding my kitten, that kind of thing. It turned into this whole thing, and they found out that this was actually a Displacer Beast kitten, and it doesn't have to be this big, grand scheme.
No.
It can be these little things, people still have a blast with it.
And
Don't be overwhelmed.
now,
I got a kid with coaching.
so what I recommend for new players is don't start off at higher levels. I've said this before. Start at level 1 and learn. That way you can learn the character.
Yes.
I do that with all of my characters. I don't start off at any higher levels. They start at level 1 and build up. That way I can learn all the abilities that I may not be clear on and build the character up. I tell the same thing to DMs. Don't build out an entire town. I mean, you can flesh out a little bit if you like. You just need to have one character that goes up to the party and sells them a job. Some way to get them involved. And you don't have to have a lot of backstory on it. I've got
The
it.
only reason why the main world that I run is filled out as much as it is because I've been running it for years.
That's
So people have went everywhere.
that's like with Artilla. I had nothing in Hasek but an idea of. I literally had like 5 sentences written down. If y'all go back and look in the document, there's a very small amount of information in there. So I've let the players on the server here, y'all have built this section up. It is expanded out because of what y'all have done and the stories we have told in this plate here, in this, literally sandbox being mostly desert.
Literally.
So there's other cities around. There's, tribes of Thrycreen. All of this has been built up slowly, and particularly on here by 20, 30 people working on it.
It's taken about a year.
Yeah.
We're over a year now, where we have the main city, then there's Santide, then there's
And-
Store Town, which is based off of my character's background and his family. That took a year.
Yeah.
That took a,
And it-
like, I walked
and it-
in and like 2 weeks later it was there.
And it started with one RP room for downtime as meant to be. That's okay. Oh, Havoc, to answer your question, it's your boy Jamie 3 is the individual that won the BBEG. Now once we get up to, I hit 21,000, I'm starting a new one. And I will
Did he
show.
contact you?
Yeah, he contacted me, and I will be mailing his stuff out. He asked me to hold off on mailing it for a week because he's going to be out of town. But when I hit 21,000, I will be showing everyone the new box for the BBEG.
Woot woot.
And it's bigger. Y'all think I'm joking.
No,
It's-
I know what
It's
it is.
big. So that this next, and I'm going to try to get it packed as full as the stuff I did in the other one. So I want to make this one as hard to close as well.
The thing about making a couple little certificates where it can go into the box, or if the winner gets it, it can be character commissions.
Oh, that would be cool.
So that could be something that could be thrown in there.
Yeah. If you come up with a little thing and just email it to me, I'll print them off at work and
Definitely.
we'll put them in the box. But yeah, don't worry about building out your. Going back to our topic, don't try to
See, this is what we do.
don't try to build out your world all at once. I usually
10% improvisation, 90%, or I'm sorry, 10% preparation, 90% improvisation.
Yep. I usually start off with some local restaurant, bar, hotel, a tavern. I start off in it with an inn. I have some place that they can buy general goods and weapons, and some place that they could possibly get magic items. That's what I'll start off.
Forget a tavern.
That was the first thing I mentioned, an inn / tavern bar.
Never forget the tavern.
I'll
start
start off with those three. That way your players can, if they have any money left over from character creation, they might be able to do that, and just slowly build it out from there. So there's a job posted at the tavern that, somebody's got something in his basement and there's a wild animal down there, and just put literally like a couple of boar or something stuck down in there. And you've got, you'd literally clear the rats out of the cellar. But start small.
Be open with your new group of players that you are new to DMing. If you accidentally kill all of them, you can retcon it. You can do whatever you want.
You can do the whole "it was a dream" sequence if you TPK your party as the first time DM.
Because I've had a friend that he was trying to learn DMing and he nearly caused a TPK and he has not wanted to try DMing again. I'm getting ready to help him because he felt bad. But it's his first time and it happens. Sometimes the dice rolls just suck.
Yeah.
And this was a module that was meant for beginners, so it really wasn't his fault, but he still felt bad. And it was, what was it? It was some sort of, not the gelatinous cubes that we ran into, but something along those lines. Some sort of ooze.
Yeah. And if
it was bad.
And if you're using a module as your first thing, here are my recommendation. 1, read it. Front to back, read it. Go over, read it at least 2 or 3 times so as they're going through the story, you can jump to the parts you need. That's the first bit of advice. The second part is expect your players not to follow the module at all. They may decide to talk to people in town that do not have any information you can give them. Don't worry about that. Start using the module as a guidebook at that point. Like if they happen to catch back in there, or you need it to take what they're supposed to find over here and put it in the house of the neighbor that they're talking to for some god-awful reason. The module is just a baseline of a story.
Yeah, that's all that is a good point too. I do also want to say, like I said, be open with your players, and if you really aren't comfortable with coming up with something on the spot yet, because for some people that does take some time to do.
Yeah, it's not a.
Don't be afraid to say, "Can we please go back this way?"
It is not a skill that you automatically start with. You have to develop that and go. And for me, if I'm like fully invested in concept driven a way a story's going, and then all of a sudden my players go off the rails and go in a different direction, I've caught myself a couple of times where I'm like, I was spent so much time focused on this that at that point my brain cannot come up with something, and I've said, all right, we're gonna have to stop the session for tonight. And then there's been other times where they've gone completely off the rails, and I've gone, okay, so you went down that alley instead of going over here, and I start improvising it at that point. But that's taken time to develop.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying don't be afraid to ask them to go back. There's no shame in that. You will develop that skill over time. Do not push yourself. because D&D requires the game master to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Dude, it's not good whenever you start to panic, because it will ruin the experience for you,
Yep.
and we don't want that.
And
So don't be afraid of.
remember to breathe.
Sometimes your players need a little bit of railroading.
Another thing is sometimes a lot of people think like, oh yeah, I gotta jump into a campaign.
No.
Start off with just a
What a
one
shot.
Yeah, one shots are fun too.
My first time DMing on this server was a one shot. I nearly burned the world down, the forest fire, but it was a one shot.
Yeah, we remember that all.
Oh, yeah. That's your name there, Mr. Pyro.
Hey, I cannot help that my group likes setting things on fire. Anywho's, it's just sometimes you gotta like get that confidence going to then go for a second one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another tip I would give new DMs is get yourself a good pen, a good notepad. One of those composite notepad, college rules notepads are perfect. And then every time you come up with a name for an NPC that your players, that you've never, for somebody that your players had no clue about and you had to come up with on the spot, write that name down and where your players met them.
Yep.
Like if you have to do the name of the town and the bar or whatever, or just say, hey, you recognize this guy from the tavern in such and such. You can use that later on as part of your story. And I've got in my Bridgewater game, my players have been all over the city. They've explored out that city pretty well. There's a cabbie in that city. He's a red dragonborn. He's a friendly guy, just a super friendly guy. I came up with a name for him. His name's Rocky. Hey, how y'all doing? You need a ride over here? Yeah, let's go over here. You know, he doesn't charge the party hardly anything to drive them all over the place. Every time the party has decided that they have to get to the other side of town, are going to take a carriage, they'll like stop a carriage and then they'll look at me and go, "Is it Rocky?" Because they just want to interact with somebody they had their characters haven't seen in a while, and that can be a lot of fun in a game.
Yep.
They haven't seen Rocky in a while. I have to say.
One of the things I do want to bring up, when you're first DMing, your first time, I recommend not running something with high levels.
Oh no.
No, you will get overwhelmed so quick because of how many abilities that these people have. Even if your players aren't new, but you are new. Do not do it.
In fact, honestly, the Lost Mines of Feldelver is probably an excellent module to start people on out of the starter kit.
It is. It is fantastic. I love using that one to teach people. I've trained a lot of people to be a dungeon master, and that is the first thing I recommend to them, and they always love it. Read it a couple times, and then go with it. It's easy to run, and the players enjoy it.
And things are good, Brian Fellows. Just letting you know, if you see me not talking, or I'm just kind of staring off, shaking my head, it's not that I'm talking to myself. We are also broadcasting on Twitch with our Psuedopod-Cast. So there's a little podcast with people from that are Patreon supporters on our Discord. And so if you just see me, so just the headphones are letting me listen to people that aren't in my head. So if you have any questions, we're talking about DMing. If you have any questions, please ask.
Tell them to join the Discord so they can actually hear your other game masters talking.
But you could also join our Discord and talk. We've got all kinds of things on our Discord server. So yes,
And we are doing a lot of tests, so some things are
Yeah.
being swapped around.
we are rearranging things. Of course, this is really. I just realized this. I'm talking to the people on TikTok here, and so I know the people on TikTok cannot hear anybody else on this panel. So I'm repeating what one of y'all are saying to the people on TikTok. At the same time, we're streaming on Twitch. They have no clue. They can't see my TikTok camera here. So it just sounds to them that I'm just repeating almost word for word what one of you others are saying. Is this guy crazy or something?
I mean, it would be nice if more people were to join in on the Psuedopod-Cast we have her on the tables, just so people can actually listen to everything that we're saying. Because all of us are experienced here.
Now our
and friendly.
And
well,
on
friendly.
On our server, we have a great space for people that want to start DMing. We have the Adventures Guild.
Yeah, we actually on our server we have a section for new DMs or anybody that wants to DM to run a game. They're out of the Adventures Guild, so it can be practically anything. They just post it up. They have to get approval from one of the mods.
Game masters, yep.
One of the game masters, but they can, if just so it doesn't clash with other things going on in our world. But yeah,
and we also want to make sure you don't accidentally put, a Tarask in there against some level 2.
Yeah, we're putting Tarask by itself.
I know.
You're not putting a Tarask in there. That would be one of the things we would go, no, that doesn't match our other storyline.
No. But we can easily help guide you along, create a one-shot, and we can help you with the loot. We have a lot of experience under our belts here. We have people constantly, I know I have people constantly messaging me for help. I get on Discord, I have like 20 plus messages a day from people like, hey, how do I do this and this and this?
That's and mostly it's coding, isn't it? For the
It's actually learning how to play their characters, and I had a few people wanting to learn how to DM.
Yep.
They haven't tried DMing on their server yet, but they've just wanted information on how to do it, and they also look for suggestions on the software that I use whenever I am DMing online.
Ah.
I guess people like my games enough of me that they message me.
Havoc, you're funny.
But people be frightened of me.
The BBEG was won by It's Your Boy Jamie 3. All right, what were you saying, Chris? Sorry.
What was one of your biggest fears when you started DMing?
Hold on, I gotta think way back because
We're blowing the dust off here.
Because technically, I went to one D&D game. And then went home and grabbed my other friends and said, hey, and so technically the very second time I played D&D, I started DMing it. I didn't know any of the rules. All I knew was what this one character sheet could do. And that's how I started. I just remembered, I don't even remember how we figured up, how I figured up monster hit points. I don't even think I kept track of that stuff. I'm like, most of the time it was like, yeah, you killed it, or yeah, it hit you. I don't think we ever kept track of hit points.
So while he's thinking of his greatest fear, I will say something that a lot of people are worried about is the voices, the being perfect, and they blame it on the fact that they watch things like Critical Role.
Yep.
Do not do that to yourself.
Yeah,
do not try to do that.
Come watch one of our games.
Just because you can't do voices doesn't mean you're not a good DM. I know I am not good at voices. But you do not have to be. I have people constantly want to be in my games because it's not about the voices, it's about the story, the game you provide, and how you work with your players.
I do excellent voices. I have like 3. And yeah, the voices are fun for me, but you don't have to do them. You don't have to say you're playing a bard. You don't have to be fucking Sam Riegel who can come up with a song, who can come up with a parody song off of something he heard on the radio 4 hours ago. These guys are professional entertainers, so they know how to do all the they've done the voices for every video game we've ever played. They're professionals. That's their job to do those voices.
Yeah, don't worry about that. I mean, I've done audiobooks and voices for things on YouTube, but that's not anywhere near what they do.
Yeah. They've had.
And that's why I don't hold myself up to that.
They have vocal coaches. They take classes on how to do voices.
Mm-hmm. I have my own DM style. That's all I need. Everyone has their own style. Do not try to copy somebody else.
Actually, here
You can learn from others.
Yeah. So you say that copy others. This is something I just learned this recently, and it was dealing with artists. The best artists we know, picking like Picasso individually. One of the things he did before he developed his own style there was he was paid to copy other artists' work. Yep. And he was to basically paint them down into smaller sizes. So he developed his current level of skill by copying and imitating what others have done. I know just from watching that very first campaign of Critical Role, which is one of the things that got me back into really hardcore, back into Dungeons and Dragons itself. Just watching that, Matt Mercer's an amazing storyteller. And watching him tell the story there has, I believe, improved my DMing now, because now I'm more interested in the story building. I want to see how it progresses, which is for me one of the reasons I don't do a lot of RP on the server, because of the amount of time to watch that story progress I don't have. And it sucks.
I understand completely, because I've got people going on my server. It's fun watching how people are interacting with stuff, and I am having to fill it out as I go. And I'm like, wow, it's like the beginning of this server.
Yeah.
In the channels.
Just to see where people are going. And it's just, there's so much that happens on here, and it's an amazing story, but I can't be involved with it. And so I get jumps in the local. It's sad. I create the world and I have just this much lore of this section here that I know. But just the stories that y'all have created from when, like, Ren was in the first game I ran on the server. Well, technically the second game, because the first one. Well, the first one was originally the Bastions of Good game. So the Order of the Scale game was actually the second game I ran on the server.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like,
but it was the first game of the OTS. So watching Ren go from that original to moving up in the order, being so good, and then going and becoming evil. And now what is it? And now what do we got? Ren's kids here? Yeah. Yeah.
You got Merlin running around, who's her oldest daughter.
So watching that,
And
it's like watching, for me, it's like just sections of life, like you're coming in, just in little bitty pieces here and there, to catching the story. It's like watching one episode of every season of Naruto.
it is fun though whenever you get to catch up on it. And I love being able to put in the story. Like whenever Rin exposed herself being the BBEG. The drama that erupted on the server and the RP with that.
Oh yeah, that was that was fun.
Because everyone loved her, trusted her, and then they thought she died. And then she just came back attacking the city, destroying everything, and people were like, what the hell is happening?
Now, since we're talking about DMing, Arcane Sigil on TikTok asked, have you ever thought of a campaign where the adventurers don't gain levels?
That is something that you'll definitely have to talk to your players about, because not gaining levels holds back character growth in a way.
So how would you now we're getting on some hypotheticals. So how would you run a game where the characters didn't level though? So there wasn't okay, he's going to elaborate on the question. So yeah, so would you do they have summons more than that do level 4? As in they had monsters, like they could summon up monsters and do stuff for it. That would be a whole different, that'd be more like a Digimon, Pokemon's.
Like Pokemon.
Yeah. Could you imagine taking that concept of and I would say more Digimon, because Pokemon doesn't have the good monsters.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it done before. I've ran small one-shots kind of based on that.
I would love to have a D&D wizard class that's all they did.
There is one, but it's not a wizard. I can't remember what it is, but there is a class out there on D&D Beyond that I've seen.
Shaman King.
Oh,
I love Shaman King. I would love to come up with a Shaman King class. So the ability itself gets more powerful. Whatever they're using would get more powerful. But the characters, well, that's kind of how the leveling works now. Depending on the type of class that you're playing, that's basically how it is. Because your stats don't increase that much through the leveling. It's more of the things that you can do.
Yeah, the things that you can do is what grows your character itself. You might get a couple more hit points or a couple points to a stat, but it's really not that much of a growth.
Yeah, there's that's what what the leveling is. It's not so much what you as a person are, but what you're able to do in the world.
Although, of course, it is an interesting concept to see just how clever people can use a limited amount of resources.
Which that's going to be interesting when you say the limited amount of resources. I have planned that when the world, everyone that's part of the server should know by now, or if y'all are new and don't know this, you're about to learn this now. My game world is going to end in like 200 years. The world of Artilla as you know it, in 200 years' time, game time, it's going through a nuclear holocaust. Or the magical equivalent of. So what's going to happen in the world that survives it, what it's going to build up for when I go, it's going to be like 50,000 years after this holocaust. Arcanite, which in my world is, they're basically like dragon shards and Eberron, is solid magic. It's solidified magic. So there's going to be huge amounts of this Arcanite that have absorbed all of this nuclear magical waste. So the magical level of any magic users are going to be stuck casting level wise at like 3rd level spells. Like the most powerful spells that everyone can get their hands on would be 3rd level spells.
The rise of the artificers.
But if that's the case, say you go 3rd level with a spell, can you upcast?
Yes.
So you can take the 5th level spot, and
You'll still have all those
So you
spell
can-
slots.
so you can literally cast a 3rd level spell, but you'll have to you can cast it up to 9th level. If you
Yes.
have to go that far
That's because
in it.
you
They
become
can still upcast the fireball.
Right.
you can.
But you also mentioned that you could potentially find higher level spells, but they're very rare.
Yes. So
Like scroll-
what I would do is like as you start to level up, you get like so many spells per level. You'll get 1 4th level spell. And you are the only person on the planet that knows how to cast that 4th level spell.
oh boy.
So make it a good one.
And just keep doing that. So when it comes to the wizarding world, everybody knows up to 3rd level spells. But then the archmages, the people that are now powerful wizards, one other spell that nobody else knows. And you do it better than anyone else. It's one of those, I know this. I am a summoning wizard. I can summon demons. Something along that lines. You basically become the one person that can do that.
I know counterspell.
That would be awesome. You're the only person on the planet that knows counterspell. So you've developed all your learning into dismantling the magical energies of others, and then so you'd start off making sure you
With the villain.
you start. No, it doesn't necessarily have to be a villain. You could do that as the hero.
Yeah, villains trying to take over the city and they're getting
And just
counterspell.
Counters. Whoa! What? Hey, Void Nation. That'll work. It's just a matter of writing the rules for that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was for his summoning thing that he was talking about, where he was saying the players don't keep that abilities, just that creature does. So that particular type of monster would have just those abilities, and they could only basically Pokemon. I'm sorry, but it's Pokemon, man.
It's
That's
literally what it is.
I don't even know. I don't remember what that particular genre of anime is called, but yeah, it's Pokemon, Digimon type thing. Sorry. Which is cool. I mean, I like Digimon.
And it's been done before, and that you can easily find stuff if you can't figure out how to do it. There's a lot of information online because others have done it.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of variations of RPGs that have done it with there's several rules that you could find. So back to DMing.
Yeah.
What I'll do when this is a note I've given out every time somebody's asked me about DMing. So I will have for session 1 when we're ready to play, I'll written out a little scenario that's kind of what I want to get the characters started in. The next game session, I'll have like, all right, from here, I know so-and-so's going to, pop plot points, and it's bullet pointed a little bit with just some minor notes. Then on my paperwork for the third session, it's bandit, goat, and you just 1 or 2 words on there.
Yep.
So as we move to the second session, that's when I start filling out session 3 to be a little bit more toothy. So I build up, so I'm always a couple of games in advance. And that's the way I wasn't taught. I just kind of developed that. I actually learned that from Amway. Just doing that 369 plan. Just have that stuff bullet pointed out, and then your story and your world can grow from that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
One thing I like to tell people too is, especially if it's a world that you made and you are open to, making up things on the way as your players kind of decide to go right instead of left type deal. Do not overplan.
yeah, don't overplan.
You're going to be very upset with
Rule number 1, make a plan. Rule number 2, execute the plan. Rule number 3, watch the plan go off the rails. Rule number 4, start a new plan.
No, throw away the plan.
Yeah, so it's going to go off the rails. That's just the way the games go. But as long as you keep those notes of who they've met, you'll have something to build on later.
Oh yeah.
Now that's how you should do it. All right. Oh, you're gonna miss on how. Good night, Angel.
Bye.
All right. Now, in the last 10 minutes, we're gonna give you the quick and dirty DM route. All right. Here's what I do when I know they're gonna fight Monster X. I will come into a game knowing they're fighting Monster X or something along those lines. I may not even have that yet. I'll open up Fantasy Name Generator so I can pluck different names for people as just right off the thing. I've got my notepad opened up, Google Docs open. So after I steal a name from Fantasy Name Generator, I can cut and paste it into my notepad. I have a DM screen open, the one that I found that I really like. It's got a lot of small stuff on there that I can do on the fly. And then just probably a map I found somewhere if I don't have anything else. But that's it. That's my fast and dirty. I have a list of names. I know what a monster is. And I have a DM screen that if I don't have anything, it has I don't know if y'all have noticed it. I think it's in the Dungeon Master's Guide. There's a chart in there somewhere that says, like damage by level or something like that, or difficulty. Mm-hmm. And it's got like simple or something hurt, setback, deadly. Like, small, medium, and large. And then it's got a list of like what levels, and then shows what kind of damage that output the party should be receiving per turn. Well, they've also got one set aside it's got a list of DCs beside it that's very similar to it or part of the same chart. I use that a lot. I will BS with that chart and just a random number for hit points. I can totally run an entire D&D game. Doesn't matter. Oh, it's a goblin. And it's doing, let's see, y'all are level 10. Oh, it's doing 2d10 points of damage because of its specialized training and sword work. Or it sets off a trap while it's attacking. Because I can use all of that damage to throw in there. And it's just a little chart. Improvise. Pull it out of your butt. You can do it. But that's the wrong way of doing things.
It's gotten it so much easier doing DMing also. Because, there's so many tools out there, like the encounter builder and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That, for access.
Especially for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, but I know... I won't go into the other part of that whole D&D debacle right now. But the tools that are available on D&D Beyond are great tools. The encounter builder, because you can take, if all your players are signed up, you can share all your content.
And they have the basic rule stuff there for free.
Yeah, the basic stuff is for free. And there's just so much little things in that encounter builder is great because you can take your party, set them in there, and then just throw monsters to the side until the little bar turns red. That's how you're supposed to do it, right?
Your bar turns red?
Yeah, the little bar, the counter bar at the top. When I take your party, I set it in there, and then I click on things until it turns red, and then I look, and then I go, nah, they're gonna kill that. So I click on a few more things, and then I look at it again, and I go, oh, they still might kill that, and I'll throw 5 more things on there, and then I'll erase 3, and I'll add 2, then I'll erase 1, and then I'll add 4 more, and then I'll erase 6, and then add 1 monster and erase everything, and then I'll add some minions back to him.
This looks fun.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Or I'll go with a concept like constructs. I went with the whole construct concept, and it's like, okay, what cool constructs do they have? Okay, this one.
The last game was all mimics. Everything was a mimic.
Yep.
Before that, it was I'm working with I'm building up to a Halloween game, so I'm throwing a lot of classic. There's vampires and zombies, and I haven't done a flesh golem yet. I'm thinking I'm planning on that for next Friday.
What about like Creature from the Black Lagoon?
Oh, we haven't done that yet. Well, kind of tied that. We could have tied that in with a mimic a little bit. But yeah, I actually was thinking about that as well. Somebody ought to do that. Somebody ought to do a Creature from the Black Lagoon. That would be nice. Yes, I have created hordes to attack. But the D&D Beyond has actually created swarms of stuff already, and you just add 2 or 3 of those on there, and you're good. Mimic Infected Horde. Ooh, that would be fun. Maybe for another storyline. But yeah, just pick a monster you like and just tell your players there's a mummy running around town, or a zombie, whatever's level appropriate if you're a new DM, and just tell them there's a monster out there. Hey, don't rickroll me. Like somebody said something about rickrolling on here. I'm like, don't you dare! Can't rickroll me. I'm alive. I've the power here. But yeah, just pick a monster you love and throw it at your party. Then look up the stats. But yeah, yeah, I think that's all of my notes for. Don't throw a Tarrasque at your first level party. Or your 10th level party. And I guess it depends on which Tarrasque you're using. I'm using one that's going to kill everybody. Of course, like I said, I keep throwing monsters in until the bar turns red.
The party should feel like Tyrion Lannister. Those are brave men knocking at our door. Let's go kill them.
Yeah.
And then, at the end of the battle, they wind up like Monty Python's party.
Run away. That's usually how you're gonna get. No. No, I don't do that type of horror in my games because that's just not what me and my players are into. But some people can do that.
I don't know. Angel ran a Freddy Krueger mission.
Yeah, they're talking about Cronenberg style body twist horror. Yeah, just not my cup of tea. Of course, I did do the horde of zombie shambling flesh. So okay, yeah, maybe a little bit. Let's see. I think we've pretty much covered everything that a new DM needs to start. And if not, we probably didn't cover anything on it.
If you can't buy a battle map, you buy gift wrap paper.
Gift wrap paper is amazing. You can pick it up at Staples by the roll. Like, not gift wrap, like they got like a graphing paper. It's 1-inch graphing paper, and it's a very similar material. And you can just buy a roll of it for like $15. That'll last you forever.
You can get a roll of gift wrap at the dollar store for $1. And they're 1-inch squares.
Well, the stuff that you can get at like Staples is a little tougher. Not by much, but it's a little tougher than gift wrap paper, so it doesn't tear as easily. Which is a good thing, because that way, gift wrap paper, it can end up tearing when you set minis on it. Especially the stuff from the dollar store. But I think that's all we can do. I imagine Robbie's ready to go run that first Adventures Guild game.
Yeah, probably.
You need any help? Oh, he ran away. Oh, there he is. You're muted, Robbie. Somebody. Everything shifted. Why did it shift? All right. Well, anyway, Robbie, you come up at the bad time because it's late and I'm going to call it a night here. I think we've given everyone some bad advice and some good advice. So take what you want and leave the rest. If you have questions, ask us. Just come over to the Discord server, ask us. But again, also, I got to say, if you really liked this and would like this kind of content, or even the games and stuff, and you want to help us put out things like our BBEG, the Big Box Extreme giveaway, come join us on Patreon. We got a couple of different levels that you can join on there. Come check out our gear on Zazzle, gear that you can pick up like this right here. For those of you on TikTok, all those bios are right up there you just click in the thing and it'll take you to the tree. And in the tree is all the little things in the tree. So that's all we got for tonight. My nose is starting to clog up. I need something to drink, and then I'm going to go to bed. So that's it for tonight. Thank you, my co-host, for joining and helping out here. Until next time, go forth and roll some dice. Y'all have a good night, everybody. Bye.